Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Just looking at this nicely cleaned up presentation, and thank you, Simon, for doing such a good job. It's a real mess, the one that I sent in, and it's all been cleaned up. The first sentence there, Cambridge has had little experience of sooty, dusty industry. In the light of the remarks earlier today, I think that should be revised, because obviously there has been quite a lot of, the ironworks have been particularly smelly and so forth. So there are several ironworks in town, were smaller and similar to those found in many market town. I guess that's true, I'm not sure. Because every market town and every city had their own ironworks in the old days, but they were all pretty smelly one way or other. Yet over about 100 years from the late 19th century, 3 cement manufacturing plants operated in or on the edge of Romsey Town area. There were others outside of the Romsey Town area, but we're going to focus on these main 3 here. This talk looks at the Cambridge cement industry, the means of production, natural resources, chalk, environmental impacts, employment, and the legacy or development on the neighbourhood. This is not Cambridge. Anywhere? Any idea where this might be? It is up north, it's Preston. Cotton works. So this is an example of an industrial city, which is nothing like what we have in Cambridge. But this is what an industrial city used to look like. It doesn't look like that anymore. So industries in Cambridge, as far as I can work out, have been brick and tile works, the ones on Newmarket Road, particularly that big one over there. The cement works, which we're going to come to, flour milling, brewing, malting, printing has been a big industry in Cambridge, but it's not particularly a dirty one. Ironworking, again. Fruit processing, which we'll come to. Coprolite mining and processing, and now tech. Have I missed anything out for industries of Cambridge?
Yes, aircraft.
Do they we have an airport, but I don't know whether they make aircraft there. They mend them and they service them. But anyway, I'll take your point. It is. I'm very familiar with Marshalls.
What about pie? Pie making radios and televisions?
Yes, yes, of course. Yes, yes, pie. Yes, we could include that with the tech bit. Yes, next one, please, Simon. Now, this is a photograph. It's really surprised me when I first saw it. Any idea where it might be? It's the gasworks, exactly. This is, I could use that thing. This is Coldham's Lane coming up here, and this is Newmarket Road. But look at the size of it. Although it doesn't classify as an industrial site because they only produce gas there, it has the appearance of an industrial installation. Massive thing. So parts of Cambridge definitely look like an industrial city. Coming into from the station, Station Road down to the station there, the amount of railway infrastructure coming in on all sides, and over here we have the flour mills, the Ortona omnibus, that's a vehicle depot, printing works, of course, and a timber yard over there, and the War Memorial where it should be, right? But it doesn't look like that now. It's all been completely changed. It looks like this is also a photograph of the railway area. It looks like an industrial scene, doesn't it? There's the flour mills up there. This is the station here. Devonshire Road coming in here. Over there would have been the, I don't even know whether they've got the cattle market there by then. That doesn't look like a cattle market up there.
No, it's further down.
Further down, yeah, okay. A completely different, and I must point out Wilton Terrace, of course, sadly gone. But it again, it looks like an industrial scene. Please. Newmarket Road. The brick and tile works now where, what are those shops they have there?
B&Q.
No, it's not B&Q.
You mean the other side?
Yeah, this is Halfords and all those ones over there. Yeah, the retail park, and this is the Beehive Centre on this side as well. Again, it would have been interesting when they were digging this out to make the bricks, whether there are any archaeological finds. There's no, I haven't heard any reports about it. And the gasworks up that beyond as well, all completely redeveloped, but signs of industry of some type or other. What a shame it was knocked down.
It wasn't like that when I worked there.
But it was a big industry. I had a nice aerial photograph of it as well, which just showed the huge amounts of sheds at the back where they produced the jam and so forth. But I like this picture of the main building so much, I use this one. But that's all gone. But Shivers was a very big industry.
Sorry, since you're inviting audience participation,
I am, yes.
I believe I'm right in saying that the little pavilion with the clock on it is still there.
Really?
I think so.
Where which road is that on?
This is the railway line is just about here. Well, not the railway line, the bus lanes, the guided bus lanes is
Yeah, the
about
railway
here.
station's out of picture and
Yeah.
still there. But I'm talking about the building on
This,
the right.
you're talking about this one here, yeah. That one.
I think that's still there.
I'm going to go back and have a look.
Is this on New Road or is it on?
It's at the bottom of Impington. Oh. It's at the bottom of Impington as it comes down towards the A14.
Yeah, okay, right.
Yeah. No, but interesting. I'm getting again. So here we have some. We already on the picture of the cement work, the quarrying. Yes, no, go back. Here. So one of the important things about Cambridge, because of the chalk, is the geology, of course. And here you see, this is the chalk band which runs all along, following more or less the river. And then there are other soils, less productive soil, well, I mean, can't be used for cement on the other side. But you notice the amount of cement works there were located on this chalky strata. Up at Burwell there was one, in Bottisham there was one. Here we have the three ones in Cambridge, Norman, Romsey Town and Saxon. There was one down in Hawkston, the big Barrington one, and more going down towards Meldress and this side here. They've all gone now. The last one to go was Barrington, about 2008, 2006 or so. There was apparently a scandal about Barrington, but we'll have to get into that later. But we're focusing on the ones in Cambridge, yes. Some of these cement works only lasted for 10 years. And where you can always find out where a cement works was because near it will be a pit, nearly all inundated by now. Apart from the one at Barrington, because it was built, it was mined on a hillside, and so the water couldn't gather. Right. So yes, now we want to look for the one for the quarrying. Okay, we'll stick with this one. This is going to be a bit random, but we can get through it. The three cement works that we have we had in Cambridge. The oldest one was the Romsey Town Cement and Lime Company on Mill Road, which was started up at about 1890s or so. The Saxon one, up here where Sainsbury's is now. Yeah. Across the road from Saxon, because the Brooks Road goes between the two, no, it goes on that side here, is the Atlas Cement Works, where they used to make, what's that? Asbestos, apparently. And then down here was the Norman Cement Works, which is now, well, we'll come to that anyway, what has been replaced by. Those are the four really, sites that were in Cambridge. Yes, please continue. This one is not many pictures we have of the Romsey Town Cement and Lime Company. It had various disadvantages. First of all, it had the old bottle kilns, which were replaced later on by more advanced technology. The bottle kilns, of course, would be dirty and smelly, because you'd have the fire in there to roast the marl, the chalk marl. The other problem, well, there's several other problems with the Romsey one. It was only serviced by road. It didn't have any rail connection or anything like that. So everything that came in, all the deliveries in, the raw material, the coal and everything, had to come by road, and everything that went out had to go by road. So that was its major disadvantage. Also, it was getting built up all around there. It didn't last for long, and this is now the... No. The student accommodation. What's it called? The Cam Foundry, because after that didn't it turn into a foundry. So if you're going by the Cam Foundry building, you'll see its glass doors at the front. Printed onto those glass doors are some of the architectural drawings for the original building here. Yes, please. This was replaced by, well, in time, subsequently, this is a picture of the Saxon works, which was a whole different kettle of fish. For a start, it's got a rail connection, which makes it much more efficient. I'm assuming this is a rather large bottle kiln, which would make it even dirtier than the previous one, really. But it's on a large scale, a whole different scale entirely. And there is another picture of it again. You see the rail connection coming along there. This is the Coldham's Lane going along there. The Saxon works there with its pit. And the Atlas Cement Works on the other side over here. It's a nice aerial photograph, really. Everything's changed. Yeah, that's old Coldham's Common coming over here. And that'll be going over to Marshall's over on that side. Please. Again, the Atlas Cement Works. The Saxon Works has been demolished and has been replaced by the TA site over there. Coldham's Lane coming down here. And this property is just about to be sold. It's up for sale. Brooks Road has been put in, and it is now Sainsbury's, exactly, yeah. When did it happen? But Sainsbury's wasn't built until the 70s, even early 80s, I think. And this, the TA works were then have subsequently been redeveloped as well. I don't know why they were, but they were. Please. Now, this is moving on to the Norman Works, which is now where you have, what's that hotel? Hilton. Is it Hilton? Holiday Inn. The rail connection over there, which was very important. Beyond that, you can see fields with hay ricks nicely stacked up. But you can notice one particular thing which sets this place apart from the others, and that might be the complete absence of any bottle kilns. They've got something else in there. This thing. Try not to fall over. That thing there, yeah. We got some more pictures of that. No. Oh, okay. Now we have an overview of the three of them. The Atlas, the Saxon, the Norman over there, Coldham's Lane here, and you can see how greedy all cement works were for land. This is the first pit. Now it's been inundated. The second pit here. I think they didn't really extract it well, but the Norman, they dug up all over there, and then they went over that way to create the The lakes, I mean, well, I'm trying to think of the right name for them. Everyone's got a different name for them. The Romsey Lakes, I guess you call them. Is that a correct name, Romsey Lakes? Burnside Lakes. The Burnside Lakes, of course, have not been, they are inundated, hence they're lakes, but these ones here were filled with rubbish. We don't know what kind of rubbish, which is part of the problem. Anything went in there. Please. Then the Norman works were redeveloped in the late 1940s to a rather dull building, but you only needed it because of the equipment that was inside. You just needed a big shed. Here is the lakes, I think, on the, well, it's not a lake yet, but it's going to become a lake, coming down towards Burnside. Please. Employment in the cement works. Okay. All right. Employment in the cement works. The Saxon and Norman works both use bottle kilns, but in fact that's my slip of a pen there, or slip of the keyboard, because only one, the Saxon works, used bottle kilns, and the Norman never used them. So that only Saxon used bottle kilns until Norman was upgraded in the 1940s. In 1930s, it's estimated that about 300 people were employed at the two works taken together, which is not an awful lot. It's a considerable amount, but not really massive. Likely that most were manual workers, because well, they only required an awful lot of manual work. Management and administration would have been quite small. So mainly blue-collar work, dirty blue-collar work. Post-late 1940s, the Norman modernisation into that building we just saw would have reduced the amount of labour necessary as well. And Norman works finally closed down in 1982, something like that. Probably with only about a staff of about 10 people. And likely both Norman and Saxon workers lived in Romsey, though some Norman workers must have lived in Cherry Hinton. So it was all local employment, must have been local employment. Please. Employment in the cement works in those days. Management and administration, of course. Quality testing, engineering and maintenance, operations manager, works oversight. Quarrying would have required most people. Quarrying, loading, and a lot of shoveling. Kiln firing and keeping the kilns going. Clinker pulverizing. That's a wonderful phrase, isn't it? But that's the phrase they use to start making the cement. And the blending and mixing, bagging and transport, cleaning and security, deliveries coming in and deliveries going out. Now we come to, yeah, that's good. This is early manual quarrying for the chalk. Those chaps at the top would have been hacking away one way or other, and it would have come shooting down these things into the wagons, which would have then been dragged off to the works. Yeah, hard manual work. Not even a crane, nothing like that. But just could you go back one? I just want to point out, is there something which, I just want you to notice the lamps. Yeah. So there's no knocking off when it starts to get dark. You carry on working in the middle of winter. No knocking off. And it might have been quite dangerous, in fact, in that kind of light. Please. So here are some of the chaps that would have been, and it's nearly always chaps, who would have been involved in the quarrying work and the transporting the stuff. Here, it looks like over here they have, it's got a chimney, so it probably had a fire, you know, make a step to making it work. But they have the horses too. I haven't been able to figure it out exactly how what's going on with these lot. But obviously here we have a wagon here, but I don't know whether the horses are pulling this thing or not. But anyway, typical quarry workers, all nicely dressed with waistcoats. This fellow's got a fob watch on. Everyone's got their hat on. You reckon? Quite possibly. But they're not smiling, are they? Anyway, typical workers like that. And oh, yes, let's go back to the next bunch. And here's a bit more advanced equipment. So there's just kind of some winching gear over here. Again, it is exclusively male. Yeah, please. Working inside. Here we're away from bottle kilns. Any idea what these monstrous things are? Rotary kilns. And the Norman works, because they just needed the big long shed, they didn't need anything else because all they had was the rotary kilns. But it was, it's kind of, well, it's quite basic, isn't it? There's no security, nobody wearing high vis or helmets or anything like that. Has anyone here ever worked in heavy industry? I grew up in Derby, so I know a bit about heavy industry, and I managed when I was at college in my holidays to work at Lees and Newitt's Malleable Castings, which is a wonderful, dark, gloomy Victorian factory with flames shooting up out of the chimneys. And everything was dark, but it had a certain atmosphere that you don't get in modern factories. Anyway, here we are. These are the rotary kilns, please. That is a rotary kiln. It is huge, isn't it? It might have been made by a Cambridge ironworkers, quite possibly. Because it's just cladded steel, I guess it is steel, and then riveted together. Or it could have been imported from Germany. How did it work? It's heated, and it just turns the clinker inside. It's like basically a large pipe which just turns round. Yes, yeah, and it often use gas exactly for the flames.
Must have been incredibly noisy.
Ah, indeed. It comes to again. We're going to Eglantine Jebb description of the area, in which she mentions the whizzing sound that was in the area. So it must have made this kind of. Does anyone here remember anyone going around in this part when it was working? Please. Rotary kiln. Massive. It could well have been made in Germany. A lot of this stuff was imported. Please. Not always male. Though whether this was wartime or not, I'm not sure. It's quite possibly during wartime. And so here these women are, the stuff has been roasted and it's been pulverized, and now they're taking it out of the wagon off towards where it has to be processed and mixed before it gets bagged. But you can imagine what it was like doing that kind of work. No mask, no, nothing like that. No kind of nothing at all. Anyway, that's the way it was. That's the way it was. Exactly. Yeah. And rather smart shoes as well to be wearing for such a job like this. But maybe it was posed. Yes, please. So from that process, it is mixed and blended, and it goes down the hoppers to, we're back to the male environment again here, a bunch of chaps who bag it up. and then it gets further bagged. Look at the atmosphere. Dark and dirty, and with the bright lights. I think the light here for the photograph is probably with the camera. I can't remember. Lister Auto Truck. Lister. I can't remember where Lister comes from. Yes, please. And of course, delivery. I must point out, when we come back to into the writing, that eventually the company, the Portland Cement Company that ran Norman and Saxon, were bought out by Blue Circle in the 1950s, 1960s. And they're the ones who ran it until it shut down. And you have these, again, totally male environment, all looking a bit raffish somehow or other. Driving the delivery lorries all over the place. Very important job. Yeah, look, a very raffish crowd, don't they? Anyway, they all look very happy. Please. Here we come to a description of the area. This is, again, this is the second reference. From Over the Bridge, another Cambridge between the two wars. Communal responses to political and economic changes 1919 to 1938 by S. Purkis, University of Essex, 1982. The cement workers, they lived on the far end of Middle Road, near the Bury to Newmarket Railway. A district with a certain degree of exclusivity, described by Eglantine Chebb as a region quite different character, a greyish region where a whizzing sound disturbs the heavy atmosphere. They were ununionized, so many of them were unskilled because they were just doing manual labor. And now she goes on to describe one particular person. He was only a little man who used to have to get in the truck with all the slack coal and push the slack onto the hole that would feed the kilns to make the cement, because in the bottle kilns were probably using coal. He used to come home absolutely black, then he used to have to stand him up in his little old kitchen with a funny old brown sink. Yes, the sink in the kitchen. Get everyone else out of the way. Mother used to have a copper in, day out, and she used to stand and wash them up and down. And this went on every day. You would come back after shoveling coal all day in a bit of a state. Please.
You're running a bit low time.
Am I?
Yeah.
Oh, God, I'm sorry.
Need to battle through it.
Huh?
Need to battle through the rest of it.
Okay, blah, 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 blah. This is more description. It's from Eglantine Chebb anyway. Both.
You can see it on YouTube later.
Exactly. Wages were poor and would have fluctuated according to market conditions. Then it was not great. Please. Saxon works were operated from 1901 and finished in 1927. They represented the aggressive entry into industry by the Keeble brothers and A.C. Davis as the brains. A.C. Davis ended up being the Lord Mayor of London somehow or other. Yes, it was supposed to be a new kind of thrust into the cement industry. Please. The Norman works were bought up by BPCM. Again, A.C. Davis and Keeble were the main kind of players in the cement industry during its boom years. Among the first ones to use rotary kilns. This is not a local cement, but it shows you how a dirty cement works can be. There can be really kind of a dirty place altogether. A rather pixelated picture, but I just wanted to give it as an illustration of how polluting a cement works can be. Here we have some people from Burnside complaining about the way that this works was polluting. It wasn't as bad as the picture we just seen, but there was dust all over the place. And maybe that whizzing sound as well, so it was noise pollution as well as dust pollution. I saw him just this morning as I was coming, Keith, but he's also known as Sam, who lives in Burnside Hill. His family's been there for generations, and here he is as a young man. Please. Cement works do have an aesthetic quality, if you have an eye for it. This is Revilius. Of course it is, yes. Yes, and it is Revilius' painting of a cement work. So if you have the right eye, it can be aesthetically pleasing. Please. Now, okay, here going through Spalding's and Kelly's directories, of which we have mentioned today, in which people have been identified as the housing. This is about 1901 or 1900. Every red dot, well, pink dot, represents somebody who, when they opened the door, said, I work at the cement works or I'm associated with the cement works. So this is a kind of like the location of cement workers might have been in there. And remember, really getting one person, there could have been a whole family inside. But these are the addresses and so forth. So we can see the spatial analysis of where the cement workers were living in that. Next one. Railway workers. So you can see the cement workers were far less than railway workers. Railway workers just dominated the whole area. Thank you. What's it called? Holiday Inn. No, that's the Holiday Inn. That's where the Norman Works was. That's where the Norman Works was, exactly. And what is this? What is this? This is the Mission Street proposal for the site where some of the Norman Works was. They wanted to build another science park up here in this kind of looking at this wonderful idealized place. There's one particular, apart from the ghastliness of it, there's one other particular problem. It's all uncontaminated land. Where the pits were and everything was trucked in there, this is uncontaminated land. So if you put the piles and everything like that, you're going to be drilling them straight into contaminated land, and God knows what's going to come up. Yeah. But that's where things stand right now. I think that's the end. Wow. We run out of time.
We have technically, maybe one question.
Yes, sir.
Why the name Norman and Saxon, and were they 24-hour operations?
I think there were 24-hour operations, but they probably reduced a little bit at night time because they had to pay night work, which they obviously didn't want to do. But they would have kept it ticking over, I think. They wouldn't actually close the whole thing down because it would make it too difficult to start it up in the morning. But why they were called Norman and Saxon, I think it's just a whim. I just think it's a whim. Really.